Islam. So we're just coming off of a full moon. I was over on the Cornish Temple doing a demonstration about Southern nationality and independence in the congressional records, and it slammed right into the Moorish paradigm. Moors say that I need to stick to my own bloodline, but when I study my bloodline, it always runs into the Moorish paradigm as everything else. So we're going to go through the protocol of Cuba, and this is right before Noble Drew Ali coming in, and basically he saved the South as well as Cuba because they was annexed by United States and their citizenship and nationality was extinguished. Noble Drew Ali even saved Cuba and the whole South America. 1862, highly important diplomatic movement in Washington, reported consultation between the cabinet and the diplomatic corps, an amnesty under consideration, Napoleon's secret designs, another effort to be made to secure the recognition of Southern nationality. Our Washington's correspondent, Napoleon has agreed to use his good officers with the United States government in putting an end to the war on terms, which will secure the Southern states an independent nationality, and that on the failure of the United States to accept his mediation, he will himself acknowledge the independence of the Southern Confederacy. They're speaking about Napoleon, but then we get into the French, where they're speaking about the French ministers of Richmond. About 2 months ago, I stated that there was a contemplation by the government an amnesty measure, that then it was proposed to offer said amnesty as soon as our power extended over Richmond and a few other specified places. Now I learn, not in so many words directly, but indirectly, that the subject matter of such amnesty measure is actually under consideration. So I'm going through this crazy reading and study about Napoleon and the nationality of the Southerners. Then I put up the short that's up right now about there's no law that the Southern states could use to protect them from getting hung or get them treated any which way they wanted to because they did not even establish a nationality. They said that directly. It said directly that the South did not establish even a nationality, nothing close to it. So there could have been some kind of an agreement, but until the people started acting with honorable principles like nationality, they didn't want them around. As it said, they was an independent nationality, and they was claiming the Scottish, the 33rd parallel, and the elite that supported their institutions on slavery and racial inequality was the North. And it said that they was using aggression towards the South because they was all polluting the people's minds with this slavery caste system of colored and black, Negro. And then the Europeans also was getting messed up, calling themselves white, because then they cut themselves away from what? Their nationality that the Scottish and the South was using. And then later in 1901, the Scottish chieftain was talking to the Moorish Sultanate, talking about, I can help protect you. Then they started talking about the puny boy. But while I'm doing all this study, see how it all ties together, I can't step away from the Moorish paradigm because even when I try to run away from it, I run into the arms of it. Anyhow, then now it starts talking about Cuba and the steps that Cuba must take to be able to step themselves out of the extinguishment of their nationality. And this is right before Noble Drew Ali, and Noble Drew Ali does it step for step, and I'm going to show you. Cuba has been bled enough. The reaction is a revolutionary fever, which the Spanish doctors, following the system of Dr. Sangrado, think can only be cured by more bleeding. There are in Cuba today perhaps 17,000 regular Spanish troops and 25,000 volunteers under arms in support of colonial domination. To these are opposed at least 50,000 badly armed patriots, whose members are alone limited by their ability to obtain ammunition and muskets. The people of Cuba are evidently determined to have their liberty. They mean work. Up to this moment, however, they have shown very little good sense in the organization of their cause. The Eastern Division of the islands does not appear to work in unison with the Central Department. The elements are scattered. They want binding together. If they have affected so much by desultory effort, what can resist them once they have a central and respected government? The moment they have this government and announce a financial plan, their cause is won, for they will place themselves in a position in which we can recognize their belligerent rights and feel that their certain success in the future will be the best proof of the justice of such recognition. Let them immediately call a meeting of deputies for the various departments under their control, declare their independence, elect a president, form a cabinet, raise money by effecting a loan or issuing legal bonds. All this may be done in the 60 days. And the moment it is done, we guarantee them full recognition as an independent belligerent power, copying, if need be, the preamble we have translated above. So he just said, copy the preamble here. He's talking about being independent. And what did Noble Drew Ali do? Everything that he said. They called Noble Drew Ali a president. He drawed together in the convention all of the grand sheiks throughout all the territories. What did he do about the finance? He said, I need finance and I need it badly from all nations. He did all this, within 60 days. He did it for Cuba too, because it just said if Cuba did this stuff, they would gain independence. And Noble Drew Ali gave that to the South America, North America, adjoining islands, and on all the world. And this man right here just basically gave you the protocol of what you got to do. And he said within 60 days. He said if they follow this protocol, bonds, all this may be done in the 60 days. And the moment it is done, we guarantee them full recognition as an independent belligerent power, copying, if need be, the preamble we have translated above. And that's exactly what he said. But it says a belligerent. So I want to go look up etymology and we'll look up in Black's Law, belligerent, and see why they call it a belligerent. See, this is like 1862 or 67. So they was still searching around. And Noble Drew Ali came in, like he said, stopped up every rat hole, had the European in the jug with the stopper. He had it all organized. Marcus Garvey was his forerunner. And in 1918, he went to try to get the African mandate, is what they called it. Marcus Garvey did. And it was in the newspaper, Marcus Garvey going to try to get the African mandate 10 years before Noble Drew Ali went to Cuba. So Noble Drew Ali was watching what Marcus Garvey was doing, and then he perfected it and seen where he made his errors and what worked and what didn't. But what it said about the mandate about Marcus Garvey is the nations would come together, and whoever had the best mandate, the best plan, is the plan they would go with. So if that's what Noble Drew Ali did, you best believe that his plan was the best plan comparing to the other nations. So if a mandate is the plan or the mission of what you're going to do, Noble Drew Ali had the pinnacle of the Moorish mission, indeed. So yeah, that's what they said the Marcus Garvey mandate was all the nations came together. Whoever had the best universal plan for the nations, they would use. So when Noble Drew Ali went to Havana, he probably dropped the Moorish mission down, what it was really supposed to be: learn to love instead of hate, the uniting of Asia, the great meeting is on, go and handle your affairs among the nations of the world. Indeed, the Moorish divine and national movement of the world is what is only recognized by the nations of the world. Noble Drew Ali went to Havana, Cuba with a Moorish mission plan, the mandate that superseded all the other European plans, and that's probably what they went with. But you already have his Moorish mandate. You have his plan right in your hand, brothers and sisters. It was within the whole time, Islamism. But what is missing is the protocol. And Kirkman Bey and all them knew the protocol, how to acquire land, how to do it, the administration of it. Turner, Ale, all them that acquired a lot of land, hundreds of acres that we seen in the newspaper clips. They knew how to acquire the land as if how they would know how Noble Drew Ali would have did it. And they kept that secret. That's why you got Moors today that are members of temples, but they have property that's registered in foreign states, seals and all that, man. None of that was supposed to be going down. But the protocol was scattered, you know. But just like Cuba here, it said it was scattered. It's trying to get its stuff together. Noble Drew Ali done saved them and saved you. But the protocol has to be. And only a few is following that out, indeed. The rest of them are selling out, going under the jurisdiction of foreign jurisdiction. But when Noble Drew Ali said he's going to bat, that means he was going to go through the trial. They wasn't about to let Noble Drew Ali go to trial, because now all the Moors would be able to look at the case and see how he went through his administration. If he did use an attorney, Payne, Ale, if he didn't, you know, you'd be able to see the administration of how to deal with the Europeans in their tribunals. And they wasn't about to let Noble Drew Ali do that, because he would have broke it down surgically, and you know it. And I don't think he would have had to have somebody speak for him. I think he would have did it on his own. Before I forget, I want to look up belligerent in the Black's Law. We want to go back to what they're speaking about, the protocol with Cuba. Belligerent. Black's Law, a term used to designate either of two nations which are actually in a state of war with each other, as well as their allies actively cooperating, as distinguished from a nation which takes no part in the war and maintains a strict indifference as between the contending parties, called a neutral. The congressional record specifically said that the South was fighting in defense against the United States, so that's still a neutral party. So I still don't like the belligerent, but I mean, whatever. I see someone defending themselves as neutral in war because they're only fighting because they're backed against the corner. Keep in mind that this whole demonstration is under the same records that they're talking about the southern states having independence and nationality, and anyone around them that's not acting like that, you can do what you want to them. It's what it said, and it was authorized by Judge Taney. They sent out pamphlets and told them they had a certain amount of time to leave, and if they didn't, for a whole year, they would be socially absorbed and treated any which way that the citizens cared to bestow upon them. For a year. They called it slavery, but they was getting low wages. So what it is today, you in slavery today, low wages. You're taxed to death. You can't own property. It's got to be registered under the state seal because you still don't got a nationality. They've been telling you. The southern states has been telling you. Noble Drew Ali told you. Everybody's telling you about this damn nationality, and it takes you away from the colorable statuses, man. Dishonoring your foremothers and forefathers. And you sit here and talk about my bloodline saying that they was against the Asiatics. No, they was against Asiatics and Europeans who didn't want to have national standards. It says it right here, man. We was in defense against the United States who wanted to use colorable status to support their institutions on inequality, racial inequality, and slavery, bro. The North came in union with the South, but the Southerners that wanted to get the finance of doing what United States was doing with the caste system. Noble Drew Ali said the 14th and 15th Amendment is not needed for the salvation of the Moors. That's because the Europeans used it. They clung to the Constitution with an amendment, 14th and 15th. So all their little statutes and codes come from the 14th and 15th Amendment today. Noble Drew Ali said it's not needed for the Moors. So Moors, you can't enforce that. You enforce the Constitution, but that amendment was clinged on by the North and the Southern sellouts because the real South wanted nationality, what Noble Drew Ali wanted, and they didn't go around that 14th and 15th Amendment. They stayed either Irish, Scottish, Cornish, and the Cornish been here in the Ascutney Mountain known as the Fujiyama Mountain before any Europeans came around here because we was doing mining for the Moors. We was doing salt mining. We was doing gold, silver. That's why the gold mines was real big here with the Europeans because we was already mining for the Moors. It's Holy Friday. We coming off of a full moon. It's 6:07 p.m. and I haven't eaten. I'm going to go get me something to eat. Islamism.